Welcome everyone, it is Sunday the 2nd of September 2018. I am the Diligent Rascal. Thank you for tuning into this video. Hope everyone's doing alright. It is been a nice Sunday and that. The weather was good today. Proper hot, which is always nice. But we've not got a nice subject today. Title's a bit sensationalist, but there is some truth in that, and this is what we're going to explore. So as I said, today is Sunday the 2nd of September 2018. I am the Diligent Rascal. Hit me up on Twitter at a Diligent Rascal. That's at a Diligent Rascal. The subject for today, people, is something that is a dark subject, something that people don't really look into, and if they do, a lot of it they just eat what the papers feed them. This story is about Anthony Bourdain and Asia Argento, and also it goes into a lot of other stuff. So it's a little bit of a sit back and take it in, because there's a lot of stuff to go through. I've got a lot of tabs on the top of the Google Chrome, a lot of things to go through, but I'll try and get through them as quickly as possible. I don't really want to be here all night doing it, but it is something that needs to be covered. So let's just quickly go over the fact. Anthony Bourdain. So you've probably seen in the news recently that he took his own life, and the way he did that was by hanging. But when you read these things in the paper and you read that it says that they died by hanging, a lot of these celebrities, because a lot of celebrities pick that way, which is funny because hanging yourself isn't the most effective way of killing yourself. The fact is, I think the numbers, I heard on an interview a guy talking about it on the Higher Side chat, and he was talking about how the numbers for hanging, the percentage of time it's successful is something like 45%. So all these celebrities that hang themselves, they all seem to fucking do it. They all seem to be able to do it, and they all pretty much do it the same way, by hanging off a door handle with a scarf. So just as a logical human being, have a sit back and just think about that and think, right, how like, I know it's morbid as fuck, but think about it. How the fuck would you do that? How can you hang yourself from a door handle? Because the body's natural instinct, as soon as you could try to kind of choke yourself or hang yourself on that, it will be to just stand up, or kind of, you know, you'll be basically sitting down anyway. Like, it's one of those things where I've never quite understood how, because it does come out every now and again when they're talking about celebrity suicides and things, and when they're talking about, yeah, they were found hanged, but a lot of them recently have been found hung that way, and it don't make sense how anyone could do it that way, first of all. But that was the way he apparently is killed himself. And Anthony Bourdain was with his most recent girlfriend is Asia Argento, and basically there's so much information, right, and it's hard to get into it. My phone's going mental at the minute. There's a lot of stuff to get into. I've got a lot of tabs at the top of the thing, the top of the Google Chrome. So there's a lot to get through. So we've got Anthony Bourdain took his own life, hung from a door handle. people are speculating that it's because his girlfriend was cheating on him. Now, she was spotted out in Italy, I think, with an Italian model, and other people are saying that they had an open relationship, so it was all fine. But some people are speculating that's why he did it. But also there's stuff coming out that has recently come out about Argento having sex with a 17-year-old. And Anthony Bourdain paying off 400,000 to him as hush money. Nothing, it never went to court or anything. She's saying she never did it, but in some texts she says she did. He paid the money to shut the guy up. So there's a lot of ins and outs and what have yous with this, and the fact that Argento kind of started the Me Too movement. She started it up with the Harvey Weinstein accusations with a woman called Rose McGowan. So that is just a very quick introduction, but we're going to go into all of the ins and outs of that right now. I am the Diligent Rascal. Hit me up on Twitter at a Diligent Rascal, and this is the whole business. Is Me Too, or was Me Too, supposed to be a cover for child abuse? This is the question we're asking. And why? What you say, why, Rascal? Why? Well, I don't really know. But I'm going to show you a few things that I've been looking at and people are talking about, and see if we can make some kind of sense out of it. We're going to use our heads, be diligent, and see what's going on. So Anthony Bourdain. The story about Anthony Bourdain is that he started off poor with nothing, and he worked his way up and everything like that, and he struggled and whatnot, and he has had issues with drugs and substances and things like that. But the fact of the matter is, he didn't really grow up struggling, really. His mum was a New York Times editor. His dad was a music executive with Columbia Records. So straight away there, we can see that he didn't struggle when he was growing up. He had probably a few quid. And from what I can gather, the way he was kind of pushed into fame was the fact that he wrote an article for the New York Times or another newspaper affiliated with it. His mum then, said, look, do this article, put this article out, put the article out, and boom, 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 things started happening, whatnot. So, Anthony Bourdain, people say he's struggling, he come up on it off his own back and all things like that, but we know that the elites and the entertainment industry like to push these people from early with links in media, in military, in government, in everything you can fucking name, because when they get older, people listen to them. And this is a thing that happens. They engineer these kids growing up, and then they end up being someone, and people will listen to that someone, and that someone is easy to say. It's easy to make them say what these people want them to say. But I'm not saying that is Anthony Bourdain. Maybe it was at one point. Maybe he realised and clocked a few things, and this is the point we're getting onto this. Why would he kill himself? Why? His most recent interview, his last interview before he died, is an interesting one. They ask him questions about suicide. Yep, you can't fucking make it up. What did they else ask him? They asked him a lot. Try and find his last interview. It is around. I have watched it. I've read some transcripts and that of it, some quotes. And it's a bit of a strange one. And it doesn't really make sense that he would kill himself anyway. And apparently his mum said that it's not something that he would do. He was happy. He spoke about his daughter and that, and he was more steady in his life and stuff. So it's one of them things that don't really make sense. But then when we talk about Anthony Bourdain, we've got to talk about the things that he said. And some of the things he said against certain people. Okay, we'll agree to taking my data, that's fine. And Anthony Bourdain, he didn't like Henry Kissinger, or seemingly didn't like Henry Kissinger. He said some pretty strong stuff about him. You can read this here. You know, he's talking about Cambodia, and when he went to Cambodia, he just wanted to punch him to death with his bare hands. You know, and saying he's a war criminal, basically. So, and Kissinger, if you know about things, you know what I mean, this geezer is a fucking criminal, horrible bastard. And, you know, Bourdain is correct. He really did not like this guy, and he was outspoken about the Clintons, and when he spoke out about the Clintons, he did have a few tweets that were saying, oh, the Clinton clan are on to me, you know, their people have been in contact with me, and it was a bit scary and whatnot, because he was spoken out, I think, to do with the Weinstein thing. He said a few things about the Clintons. He has said in the past as well that Bill Clinton was rapey, grabby, disgusting person, and that Hillary wasn't very nice, and, you know, saying how she is as well, which we don't know what that means. It could mean anything. So he didn't like Kissinger, said publicly a lot of shit about him. I think here is where he's talking about Bill Clinton being a gropey, disgusting person. Gropey, grabby, rapey. Disgusting behaviour. Bill and Hillary Clinton were guilty of discrediting the president's accusers, which is correct. Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, they fucking, anyone that the people that were coming forward saying that Bill had done whatever, you know, she was fucking backing it up and intimidating, you know, seemingly, you know, allowing the intimidation of witnesses and that, you know. It's like, we don't want to get into the Clintons too much, but it's just another thing, you know. Fuck's sake. There's so much to see and so little time to do it. It just seems like even if you had all day every day digging into these people and what they're doing, it still wouldn't be enough fucking time. Like, you know, like I say, the Clintons themselves, you know, they have the Clinton body count that people talk about. You know, these very strange, untimely deaths of people close to them. You know, it is a thing. You can look into it. You know, and there are some prominent ones and some not so prominent people on it. But there is a fucking list of people that have died in some very strange circumstances around these people. You know, and he talks about them saying they're disgusting. You know, and he was talking about Trump as well. Talking about how we didn't really like him as well. So he said some outspoken things about people. And in his last interview, he actually talks about imagining Harvey Weinstein dying. Which is a bit fucking weird, saying he has a big stroke or something like that. So here we go, Bill Clinton's a piece of shit, entitled, rapey, gropey, grabby, disgusting. And the way that he and she destroyed these women, and the way that everyone went along and are blind to this, screamingly apparent hypocrisy and venality. True, you know what I mean? So he was outspoken, and he said things against people like Henry Kissinger and the Clintons. And people are saying that is the reason why he was possibly bumped off. Because, you know, people are always going to speculate with things like that when it comes to celebrities anyway. But think about this, right? I mean, I know it's not a nice thing to think about, but think about it. You know, we know in people's lives, you know, maybe one person that has committed suicide, possibly two. You know, some people more, some people less, but in normal society, you'd be lucky, say, you know, not lucky, but, you know, you'd be hard pressed to really know, maybe, say, let's give like a generous thing, 5. Say if you know 5 people that have killed themselves during your lifetime, people that you've known. Think of how many celebrities and people in the limelight and people in prominent positions end up killing themselves. Now, is that the fame? Is that the fortune? Is it the money? Is it the power? What is it? But it's something, isn't it? Got to be something. It just don't make sense. All of these people just killing themselves. It really doesn't. There's got to be some kind of reason for it. The percentage has got to be higher than normal society, massively. So what is going on? You know, and people will speculate. But we're looking at the information that's here and we're trying to find out what is going on. So in his last interview, he says a few things as well. But he didn't really, you know, seem that he was depressed to the point where he was going to kill himself. But I mean, I suppose people don't, do they? They put on a face and they go out and do what they got to do. So, you know, we can never really know. So that's Anthony Bourdain. Took his own life. There's a few things he said about a few people. He was very outspoken in the Me Too movement. Which was celebrities coming out and saying that they had been sexually abused, raped by people in the industry. And the Me Too movement got recognised because some prominent people were accused and some prominent people stood up and accused people. But the Me Too movement, Asia Argento and this woman here, Rose McGowan, they were kind of seen as the figureheads for this movement initially when it come through with accusations about Harvey Weinstein. So what we have is the reason Anthony Bourdain was really kind of vocal about it is because this was his missus. And this woman here, Asia Argento, she's the daughter of an Italian film director, horror slasher director that some people might be familiar with. She starred in some of his films when she was 16 and older. She's got some weird pictures on her Instagram. Some people will say satanic. I'm likely to agree with them. Pretty satanic pictures can be found on here if you go through all of them. There's ones with where's one with blood coming out of a mouth, one with just things like that, arse clowns. There's one with milk, and there's always milk. There's always milk, and that is a video within itself as well. Let me try and find, look, pentagrams and that on these things. Like, people do say that this kind of art, in inverted commas, is just a way to kind of be open and out with Satanism. And there's a thought that I can leave with you just to think about, that some of these kind of art pieces are just satanic. Now there's a picture of her with milk coming out of her mouth. I think it's her or it's someone else, but it's there and there's loads of milk. They're like Jesus, like the Christ. And what you got to realise as well, you don't need to be necessarily religious yourself, but what you got to understand is, like, if people believe in Satanism, they have to believe in God and Jesus, else it doesn't work. Like I covered in another video, they both need each other. It's like a circle jerk between Satanism and Christianity. They need each other. So you're always going to find this in Satanism, this Christian imagery. Where is the eye? Always with the eyes as well, and it's getting boring now. I think again another like crown, you know, like a thorny crown kind of thing. You know, it's getting boring now with the eyes, and everyone kind of talks about it, and you know, everyone thinks it's bullshit now. Where is this blood? I'm going to find these pictures. There you go. This one here. With the milk. Always with the milk. So have a look into that. Why there's so many celebrities and that posing with milk. all the time. And then there's another one a little bit further, if I remember, with blood dripping out of. There you go, that one there. Pretty cool picture of Bruce Lee. Blood there. Eye, another eye. She's got that ring on all the time. You know, so, and Black Hole Sun as well. Look into the Black Hole Sun, people, because that is another thing in itself as well. When you go down rabbit holes and you start looking at these people, you start seeing lots of other stuff. And as I say, I'm not a young man anymore, but I'm not an old man. But I've been doing this for a little while, looking into this shit, and you know, you see the same recurring things coming up when you talk about black cubes and black hole suns and eye imagery and certain things. The milk, you know, you see these things all the time, yeah, all the time. So this is Argento. There's a few pictures of Bourdain and that chucked in. But what people are saying is she was photographed out with an Italian model. He saw it, made him crazy, and he topped himself because of that. Other people saying they had an open relationship. They had a relationship without borders, I read someone say. So yeah, this was her, and she was like the figurehead with this Rose McGowan of the whole Me Too movement. And there's a lot of things in here talking about her just having sex with all the people that she starred with. And let's just say this as well, okay, about the whole women being abused in Hollywood. Now, it is happening. You have men in power. You have women who are trying to make it in a business, and men who are trying to make it in a business, and the men in power will use that power to abuse people. That will happen, yes. But then you've also got a small minority of women who go there knowing that if they, without want of a better phrase, suck a few dicks, they could suck their way through Hollywood. And it has been known to happen. It has happened. There are people that have spoken about it. Even people like Joey Diaz, who I listen to, he talks about it quite a bit. He says, look, there are these, you know, and people say, okay, well, it's the men in power that enable that system. And that's true. If that system didn't exist, the women wouldn't be doing that to exploit it. So it is all just one big circle of abuse. So I'm not saying it's the women's fault that they're going out there and sucking their way through Hollywood. Like, if that wasn't paved there ready for them to do it, then they wouldn't do it, would they? But it is there, and the abuse is there. And this is the thing that we're talking about. Because this woman here, it is now coming out that she, after coming out so strongly against Harvey Weinstein with the whole Me Too thing with her friend, I don't know if it's her friend, I think they're friends, Rose McGowan, it's coming out now, as you can see, that she had, apparently, she says she did not have sex with a 17-year-old Jimmy Bennett. And this guy, Jimmy Bennett, she starred in a film with him when he was 7. Some people are also saying that they met actually when he was 4. But I think that might be wrong maths. But even so, okay, this is him in the middle. Alright, and this is her. She played his mum in a movie, and then after this was taken, 7, 8 years old, you know, 9 years after that, she has sex with him. And messages here saying, I had sex with him, it felt weird, I didn't know he was a minor until the shakedown letter. The horny kid jumped me. And then even what's up with the photos taken in bed? You know, and she's so let's just, I mean, look at this picture. Let's just all assume that it did happen. I mean, you can safely assume, we think. She actually admits it here. Okay? So there's no speculation there. This geezer's come out and said all this now, but he was paid off by money from Anthony Bourdain. So what do we have? We've got a woman who was a major reason for the Me Too movement. And then we have her now being found out that she slept with a 17-year-old and paid him off. But it doesn't end there. Because what has happened now is coming out that she was getting sent nudes from this kid when he was 12 years old, saying that you know, she was his fantasy since 12, you know, and he's been sending unsolicited pics since he was 12. So why didn't she say nothing? Why didn't she say, stop sending these, you're fucking 12? You get me? Well, what is going on? So think about this. Let's ask this question. What is going on here? She met him at 7. From the age 12, he's sending naked pictures. Do you think she sent any back? Maybe. And then she ends up sleeping with him when he's 17. Now, if she was Muslim, Tommy Robinson would be fucking livid. Because that is grooming, mate. And that's grooming, really, if you look at it. On the surface, you know, you can safely say that she's had an ongoing relationship, even just from 12, in that way, a sexual relationship in that way. So that's fucking grooming. And now this Rose McGowan's coming out, be the person you wish Harvey could have been. What the fuck is going on here? All right. So what is happening is they are trying now to link. What I'm seeing is there's a link. They're maybe not trying. But there is a link here between Me Too and kiddies. And another crossover is this fucker here, Kevin Spacey. Now, Kevin Spacey, I love K-Pax. Great movie. Fucking brilliant movie. Amongst others he's done, he's decent. Good actor, alright? That's where it ends at the end of the day. When you find out people have done bits and bobs like that, you can't, you know, you can watch the movies because their movies are movies. They're a thing. They're created there before anyone had any idea. You know. And basically, this geezer has now got 15 accusers, and a lot of them are underage. And the guy that first come out said he was 14, and Spacey tried to grab him up. And when it all come out, Spacey come out and said he was gay. To kind of, I don't know why. I do know why. But I don't know why he did it, because I think even he knew it wouldn't work. But, you know, we've got these crossovers here with the Me Too thing into child, you know, this kid was 14. There's other ones on this list here, young ones, a lot in England because he was doing stuff for the Royal Shakespeare Company, or the Old Vic, sorry. You know, so there's a few hit people here as well. There's a few youngsters there as well. So if these are the ones coming out, then if these people are this way inclined, then there's a hell of a lot more. It's not something someone does once, yeah. So we've got these crossovers here. So now what we've got is a Me Too movement. The people that started it are now being discredited. And they are now being discredited in a way where it's seen that they're sleeping with minors. And if you look into the story, probably receiving naked pictures from and not saying anything. And where is this leading to? Well, the Me Too movement is coming out now, and the casting couch has always been like a myth, or maybe not a myth of Hollywood, or at least people think it's a myth of Hollywood, but it's always been kind of a thing. But people have been coming out about child abuse for a long time in Hollywood, and this guy Corey Feldman has been coming out for a long time saying about it. So Corey Feldman's been talking about it for many, many, many years. And no one has done anything. They said he was mental. They said that he was crazy. He didn't name the actual people until fairly recently, I don't think. My computer's going really, really slow. I've got loads and loads of tabs open. It still should be fine though, but still. Here we go. You know, he's been exposing this for a long time. He's been talking about it on TV. You know, there's been a documentary that's come out called Hollywood's An Open Secret. But, you know, he does talk about the Me Too campaign sometimes as well. And Charlie Sheen was the one that he said was molesting him and his pal, amongst other people. So he's been coming out with it. Alison Allingham is her name, I think. She was in Little House on the Prairie. She came out and said about it. And she even says that it's probably even more prevalent today than it ever was. There we go. She says molestation is likely just as prevalent in Hollywood today as it was in the 70s, perhaps more so. And this was on Oprah Winfrey. So I don't know, man. It's like we've known this stuff is going on. You know, Hollywood's dirty secret. But listen to this guy from Different Strokes, yeah. He talks about it, and he listen to what he says with this guy here, Dr. Drew.
But my thing is this: it's not just Hollywood's dirty little secret; it's the world's dirty little secret. This is something that's been going on not just in Hollywood, but everywhere. People are afraid to talk about it. But, you know, I really think it has a lot to do with how you approach your children. You know, we always want to approach them, I think, in a way of trying not to be direct. And I think that destroys a child. You have to be direct, very upfront, and tell them exactly what's going to happen to them.
Well, I'm gonna have you, after the commercial break, give parents very specific advice. I think you've got some great things to point out. But one of the things you and I were talking about in the makeup chairs a few minutes ago was you and I have been talking about this for 18, 19 years, something like
exactly.
that. And
they've been talking about it for 18 or 19 years, and they're laughing. Like, why the fuck has nothing happened? And this is the question people have got to be asking. Why has this stuff been going on? We know with Harvey Weinstein that the agents and that were passing him girls, passing him actresses, passing him people. They would have known. Everyone around knew. And this is why it makes... Now it is suspicious that Argento was the one that outed Weinstein, really, initially. Because she can be easily discredited. So what was the reason for the whole Me Too thing, really? Is something that everybody knew about, the abuse and stuff like that, you know, the entitlement from these fuckers. You know, but no one done anything up to now. And then now all of a sudden, they're doing something about it? Is it the consciousness changing? No, these fuckers in Hollywood wanted it to stay exactly the same way. So why is it all coming out? Why is it all coming out now? There must be a reason why it's coming out now. And the reason why I think it is because the child abuse thing in Hollywood was starting to get a little bit out of hand. Recently you had Elijah Wood talking about it, saying that the major problem is in Hollywood is paedophilia. You know, there's a major problem, he was saying. And then he withdrew all of his comments as well after this. So I think really, I'm starting to think that this whole, the Me Too thing and the reason why it came out when it did was kind of to cover over the other information that was coming out to do with kids. Because the kids don't have a voice. They've tried to have a voice through various people. Like I say, this Hollywood's Open Secret is a documentary that's been out since, what, 2015 maybe, or something like that. It's only really 3 years, oh, excuse me, it's only like 3 years after it's come out that it started to get any kind of coverage. So you know, an open secret. It died upon its release in 2015. But if you ever watch this, it's got some good information. It actually outs people, and it shows you the systems of how it works in Hollywood. And those systems ain't changed. And there's still, this kid said they're everywhere. Everywhere. Okay? It's an epidemic. So it's not just the Me Too, it's the kids as well. But the Me Too was pushed out there by these people. And now they're being discredited now. Okay? So what is going on? Did the Me Too movement come out when it did as a cover for these kids and what's been going on for fucking years? That is the question. It's just a question. I don't know what is the answer, but all this stuff coming out now is making me think about the whole Me Too movement. You know, what with Anthony Bourdain's death, the whole Asia Argento problem now with the 17-year-old and the fact that she knew him and was getting naked pictures sent from the age of 12. There's a whole heap of other shit to do with her that you could look into. There's some really good people done some good videos on it. I'm not going to dig too deep into it, but I'm just trying to give you guys an overview of what possibly is going on. And as I say, I don't really know at this point, but the fact is there are links between the two. With these people like Kevin Spacey and this Argento. So yeah. Also something to note that's happened recently is this guy Isaac Cappy. Because Isaac Cappy now is coming out and he's naming people in Hollywood that are child abusers, and he's naming quite prominent people. People like, well, I don't know if I even want to say. Have a look on his Twitter and just see who he's been naming. He's been naming some real people, and he follows people like Arrest Podesta and things like that, retweets them, and also Donald Trump he retweets as well. He's one of these people that believes that Trump is going to drain the swamp, and he also, I think, is one of these QAnon people as well, which is a fucking riddle in itself. So I'm not sure about this guy. Not sure about this guy. But he's a guy who's coming out and trying to out these celebrities as pedos. And there's, like I say, there are prominent people that you will all know that he's talking about. But you might not have even never heard of Isaac Cappy in the UK. Yeah? Look into him and look about what he's been saying. Suss out, do you think he's a fucking someone in it for money, nut job, or has he got some truth? And the fact is, he does have pictures of him with these people, you know, and it's, you know, it seems like he was in that circle of friends, but it's one of these things. I don't know at the moment. He's just involved and linked with other things that I think are just dodgy, like Donald Trump and, you know, things like that. So he's someone just to look at in this whole business. And this is Hollywood, people. This is Hollywood. This is these people you look up to. These are your idols that are placed in front of you for you to worship and look up to and say, this is what we want to be like. You know, celebrity chefs. It's the end of civilization. There is a link between. I shit you not, it sounds fucking stupid, but there is a link between chefs and opulent food being pushed as, like, you know, and being the thing. And that's what we're seeing. TV's just full of celebrity chefs, cook-offs and all that kind of shit. And that is heralding the end of civilization. There are links between the ancient civilizations and how they revered the people that were cooking the food and stuff like that. Look into it if you don't believe me, if you think I'm a fucking nut job. Look into it, man. And this is what's going on. It's the fall of civilization, people. It is the fall of civilization. You have got these fucking huge things going on here. All of these things. You've got a political, entertainer, musician kind of class of people. These elite that have a lot of money and a lot of power and a lot of friends. And they're in a big club. And like Carlin said, you ain't in it and I ain't in it. And they've got their little weasels that work for them. They've got their little rats that work for them and that. You know? And this is how the whole thing goes. And we're just here, I'm just here trying to work out what the fuck is going on. And this whole thing here, you know, I'm just putting one and one together. Maybe I'm coming out with three. But what I can see is it seems like the Me Too movement getting the push is still pushing all this child abuse to the back. And people like Corey Feldman have been talking about this shit for fucking years. And sex trafficking and things like that, and child abuse in Hollywood. It's been spoken about for fucking years. And it's still being pushed to the back, and to the front was the Me Too. And the people that are pushing the Me Too are suspect as fuck. So there you have it, people. This was a video, again, a little bit longer than I like to do, but still 40 minutes ain't too bad. Thanks again, everybody, for joining me. You know, I do get trolls in the comments, but I do enjoy the back and forth in the comments. Like I say, I'm not one for like the live streams and that, because you get people seem to get sucked in and get gassed if there's loads of people in the chat and that, and I'm not really on that. I kind of like to just focus. I mean, I go off on tangents and fucking and and ooh too much anyway, let alone if there was loads of people in the chat and that, and I was trying to fucking chat with them. It would even be longer than fucking what it is now. So again, thank you for joining me. This is just my little take on what I think possibly could be going on. We don't know if it is, but this is just a diligent rascal digging into whatever I can find. Today is Sunday the 2nd of September 2018. I am the Diligent Rascal. Catch me on Twitter at a Diligent Rascal. That's at a Diligent Rascal. And I'm going to keep on doing my thing, digging into this shit about this institutionalized child abuse and the fuckery that goes on with these people in charge, these elites, these politicians, these businessmen, these people like Kissinger. Yeah? If you don't know about Kissinger, you need to look into this guy and what he has done all over the world. This geezer's a fucking devil, and this guy was talking about him quite a lot. And this guy then was involved with whatever he's been involved with now. You know, I'm not saying it's anything to do with this guy or anything to do with the Clintons or anything like that. But like I say, all these videos, just look into all the avenues that you can. And that's the only way I've got here where I am, is by spending time just looking into shit. And now I'm just kind of hoping that I help some people to kind of think outside the box. That's all I'm here to do. So I am the Diligent Rascal. Catch me on Twitter at a Diligent Rascal. Thanks again for joining me, guys. I will have another video coming up very soon. Thanks again. Peace.